אותו דבר, הכל בגלל עולם של COLLAG מי רוצה לחבר? אלון? אלון, אתה ראשון, אז תחבר את הלפטופ שלך.
עובד עם כמה אנשים מי שרוצה לזה, אני אשגר את אישה.
Guys, let's start. יאללה, בואו נתחיל. אני רואה שזה כבר מסתדר. כן, guys, please, תבקש ממני בבקשה. Short update from this week. So we had the week styles is finishing today. Not the offsite is finishing. The week styles will continue the project, and Alon will update right after me about what's been achieved, and we probably need to estimate the state that we reached and how we continue. And I assume that not all components will be ready, and what will happen is companies will start to adopt the library, and then if a component is missing, the company will invest and implement it instead of in the company code or in the company-specific project directly to Wix styles. But a lot has been done, and Alon will cover some of the design issues that were discussed and many decisions that were taken. And other than that, Sergey gave a talk in JavaScript IL this week on continuous delivery on the client side. And we'll talk also about how to be accepted to your dream conference. And this is something we're trying to push a lot, again, that to talk in conferences, especially in Israel, but also to important conference in the world. And we איך אומרים, דוחפים אתכם להשתתף. We encourage you to join. Also, a nice tradition that Shachar started today and promoted that it's good if you come early today. People will already started to work here and discuss things, especially if you're working on a guild task. This is the time to come and to get help and discuss with other people. But also on any issue that you find and you need help, it's a good time. Training kit. 7 developers from the guild started to work on the training kit last week. It's continuing this week. So the guys from the training kit, I think you meet in the academy. Who's from the training kit? Okay, so you're in the academy after, right? Okay. What? We all find this. And Eyal Merajen will talk about the Dev Center after Alon. Anything else? I forgot. Okay. Okay. YouTube.
So this week we had. I hear it's in speakers, right? Yeah. And so this week we had me and other developers who developed the Wix styles. I'm going to present to you the Wix styles really soon, but I want to show you a few issues and stuff that we had to deal with. And I think it was quite interesting, and maybe to get your input later about it. So the first thing that we talked about, and there was a lot of things. One of them was is to use an external library. It was very tempting to use a Bootstrap or Foundation or Angular material. And just very short, like the pros is, okay, you get lots of code. And the bad thing is that you are dependent in a single library now. You cannot use any library because it's a very big library. And if you start using Bootstrap, you cannot use also Angular Foundation because it's really too big. And it also, if you wanna have more functionality, you find yourself without something that you really need, and you're stuck with it. So we decided to go commando and to develop everything on our own, and we hope it was a good decision. And about inspirations, how to write things and how to do things, we didn't use these libraries, but it was very nice to check examples from Bootstrap, Material, and Foundation, and also from Wix. I'm sorry it's very small. I couldn't find a bigger Musa, but it's really, we got a lot of examples and posts from a lot of projects around Wix, from a lot of projects. It's okay.
Stop touching the cable.
I didn't do anything. Okay. Okay, and about API, I think we had a lot of discussions about how do you write a component that people can use very easily, and how it is easy in one hand and how it's customized in other hand and how it's not too customized. So I'm going to give a few examples. The first one was input. Do we say a class with input, or we're making a directive out of it? And eventually we chose to do a directive because the browser didn't give us enough capabilities to design it. So we had to do some sort of a wrapping inside the input and add another class of an image, so we decided to wrap it. So this was one decision that we made, and we found out that it's not that easy to do a directive of input. There's a lot of things you need to pass in, the NG model and some events, and to make it work. And now another thing, this is more complex, is how to define a dropdown. So we have 4 options. You define a directive of a dropdown, you pass it an object. Another option is without any object, you just define a Wix dropdown, and you define another directive, Wix dropdown item. That is the only directive that is allowed inside the dropdown. Another option is to define, okay, directive Wix dropdown, but okay, you can put a lie, and if someone decides to put something else, then it might screw up. And the 4th option is no directive at all, just provide design, and you put an li with an ng repeat, and we're not taking any responsibility of what you put inside. So eventually we chose, I think, the first one. Everyone has its benefits and its cons and pros. And we chose, I think, the first one for the dropdown because we want to really control what you can do inside the dropdown. And I hope it's a good decision. For example, once you we define an object, then we need to decide how it will look like. If we are allowing on click or on hover and what's some sort of events. There's more loose here that the user, the developer can decide, okay, I'm putting an hover, I'm putting an NG change, I'm doing, I don't know, whatever people can do, maybe on the end. Whatever people can do. So for one of these four, and each one has pros and cons, and I think on the drop-down, we chose the first one because we want to really restrict the functionality in it. Another option is the breadcrumbs. And so was the question if to do it as a directive or as a class. And eventually we chose a class, though it seemed more, I thought that it should be in the beginning breadcrumbs, but eventually when we thought about it, there is no functionality in the breadcrumbs. So it's just design. So we provide a format and people can use it as they wish. Another issue is developer versus designer. Just giving some few complicated tasks that we had to do, and we thought maybe to postpone it to later. For example, to do a search on the drop-down, which is a very complex issue. Another thing, I'm not sure if it's really understandable here, but it's to open the drop-down from the middle. Like if I chose the second item, it will not be open like here, it will open from here. I thought it was also something that can complex things. And well, the date picker, I was afraid that we will not even reach it, and this is what happened. So we didn't finish everything, but we're trying to do the best we can to give some sort of functionality for most cases. And okay, testing. The thing about the testing, we couldn't rely on external framework. That means we couldn't rely on the styling framework because we might want to change it and do other things with it. And the question was how to design it, how to test it, how to test the design without getting too complex about it. So about the end-to-end test, I made a sort of a page. Okay, it's not really readable. It's not such important. It's not important that you can write here your component name, and you get all the instructions how to set up your end-to-end test. People used it. It was very nice. And well, the other thing is screen capture. I forgot the name of the plugin. There are two. I chose this one. For example, it captures this page, and you see that the change is there's more S's on the colors, and here the color also changed, and it outputs me this purple thing, and then I can see things that have changed. So if someone in 3 months from now changes some sort of variable, it would immediately you can see what went wrong and what was changed, and if it was a good change or a bad change. And we're still implementing it, but I think it's a good thing.
So we're going to run those tests in CI and
yeah, this is the purpose. It's not integrated yet. We just started exploring it. It's the app market uses it, and they showed me how to develop it. Donatas from the app market, which is not here. Yes.
The question was whether we're going to run those tests on CI and then compare images, and the test will fail.
Because it's in the workload on the category.
Yeah, we need to think. We haven't thought of the details so far.
Is this testimonial?
What?
Testing?
Plugin?
No, it's
No, I
website.
forgot the name. Something image. I forgot. We're testing it so far. It's not. Yeah, image magic. And there is another one. Shuttle said. Which one was it? Amplitude. Yeah. We need to check the test, and I will do it. Okay.
It's like small enterprise there. They have an application in the cloud where you can see the leaves, and you get mails and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we need to search. Okay, anyway, the last thing before I'm showing the project is how to integrate it. And I just wrote some buzzwords like maybe we need to encapsulate quick style at first, so when you get it, it won't ruin your code, and you can put it step by step. Component by component means that you can import only part of it and not all of it. So you can say, okay, now I want the buttons, and now I want the notifications, and et cetera, and how to support the legacy folder and how to make it. So we're still working on it, but we will get to it. And now, without further ado, I want to show the wig style itself. So this is the wig style. And we have here let's go through it. All the colors that we have, these are the variables, and these are also the examples of the variables. I'm just giving you a quick tour. I'm not sure if it's too big.
You should paint the name. No?
What?
Paint the name of the variable and the color it is.
Here, no, you can't do this. No, but you get it here. This is the name, this is the paint. And let's think it's even. More colors. We have other stuff we have is the font family, Musa. This is less interesting. I'm just giving you a tour. We'll get to the components. It's more interesting. And the fibers also. Now we have the divider colors. We don't do any other dividers beside that. Mixing, we don't have it, but we will have. And now the fun part, these are the buttons. And we have them with color, disabled, with colors, with sizing, and an outline version of the buttons. Very nice and easy. Here are all the classes, easy to use. Very highly documented. The developers had a hard time to work with the system. I mean, there was a lot of small troubles. If you do some sort of // then it's not working. But I think it was worth it to get a very nicely documented page. Text inputs. I'm not sure everything here is the final version, but it gives you a taste. An error. This is disabled. I cannot click it. Checkbox. And here with a white background. I think this is disabled. Toggle, which is very nice. And we have some sort of toggles. These are also disabled. These are small toggles. And here we have all the classes. Weeks radio. We still need to work on this documentation, but you get the idea. And breadcrumbs, which we talked about. It's a single class, single HTML markup layout. You get very nice breadcrumbs. You can get it on a gray background, which you can put. You have it in small, big, navigation. I think this is a still a work in progress. But it's you get here a nice markup that you can use. You just need to put an HTML. It's not a directive, and you get some sort of also components, and then you can make your own navigation with all sort of customization and colors and components. You can decide to put an image here or to put a button, and it's very highly customizable. Now that what?
Do you have any convention of classes, like how you?
Yeah, of course. Classes is let's take the button as an example. The class of the button is Wix button. It's Wix in the name of the component, and here there is. Then we have class. Everything starts with Wix. Wix button premium, Wix button danger. And if you have a modifier, then you add. You see there is button large. We don't have Wix button large. This class means it's not a standalone class. You can put a Wix button, and you can modify it with is button large. Then you put is button inline. So it starts with Wix, and if it's modified, it starts with is. And drop down. This is what we talked about with drop down. This is the API. You need to put in. You put here an object. This is the object that you put. Get a nice drop down. See.
How do we expose the validation?
What?
The validation. I saw that you use the engine model.
Here, yeah, I think it's
Only
still.
this one. This is the one I didn't catch.
So Java. Notification. Oh, this will hide itself in 5 seconds. See, there is a time. Maybe we need to find a nicer way to document it, but this is really what it does. It hides itself after 5 seconds. This will hide itself after 10 seconds, I think. Yeah, set time on 10 seconds. And they have a lot of designs and changes. This is, they all hide it, never mind. There is with a link, there is with a button, there is with a button and an image. I'm still missing one icon. Notifications. The model is still in progress, so I will not click it. We have a tooltip, top and bottom, from left to right, HTML, and all messed up. Maybe guy will explain later. And tabs, it's still in progress, right? Yeah, so just a test, but it's not still in progress. And well, these are the font icons we have. This is what we use, and this is what we expose. But everyone can use them. We have a small bug here. And I think that's in general the whole project. If anyone wants to ask questions or something.
Yeah. How do you distribute it, and how do you get versioning it? Like if it do changes, how will I get the changes?
It will be a bar component.
Bar component. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do a release major, so no one will get it unless he really wants to get it. And then, you know, if it's a small change, we will do a small release, and if it's a big change, we will make a major release.
Is there really a backward?
And now, there is no backward compatibility. It will be a bit of a pain to move to this new one, but we will do it.
We need to talk about the condition. How do all the components support NG model? I heard something about NG.
Yeah, actually, we still work on it. I wasn't aware of all the small details, so I'm not sure. Shachar mostly dealt with it. So I'm not sure if you need to pass NG model or you need to pass more things. Like if you have an input, the Angular input gets NG change and some other stuff. So I'm not sure if we need to pass them.
You just implement custom English model, NG model component, and then everything works. Yeah, but we some we skip some components.
Oh, okay.
And did you refer to the dropdown, real dropdown, or did you totally create it from yourself? Create it yourself?
Yeah, it's our dropdown. Our CSS, nothing from outside.
So okay. So like I guess it doesn't support mobile, for example.
For now, no.
What about custom components? Like, say, if I want search field.
Search field. Oh, as I've shown you before, this was part of the.
Versus this.
Yes, you haven't been listening. See, there is a designers wrote the first dropdown they want. It's with search box. They didn't give us a
MVP.
They didn't do it by steps. Okay, the most simple one is with the search box. So we said no. Let's start with the simple one. It's hard enough.
Let's say that I want something with it.
So you will implement it with styles.
Internally or on Wix styles?
It's part of the
Yeah. Then why should you do it internally? You can do it on the Wix styles and export it, and then anyone can do it. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So first of all, I'm sorry. This presentation was hastily gathered, so it's not going to be. I hope you will be interested. There's just this slide. I'm going to show some other stuff. But it's this slide. So I'm going to present something we've been working on the past weeks in the upmarket. Is the new dev center. We'll talk about why we do the new dev center. We'll show quick demo that I've run locally. Talks about issues that we had when developing, still developing it, and talk about basically the reasons why. So some of you know what is the dev center. Some of you know what is a TPA because part of your company is a TPA, and probably any future verticals in Wix will probably be a TPA as well. 2 months ago, when Nikas was here, he presented the architecture for the upmarket. This time we'll go a bit higher and we'll talk about more. He was talking about architecture of a upmarket. We're going to talk about bigger the ecosystem of the upmarket itself and see where the dev center fits in. And talk about some history and then we'll show. So that was the first and only slide. So first one is to talk what is the upmarket. What does the so the dev center, the new dev center is actually broken down into 3 development phases. The first one was replacing the homepage. The second one, which we'll present today, and the third one will come later on. But before we do that, we'll need to understand where the dev center enters. So some of you, most of you know that actually we currently have 5 app markets. Each app market has a bit of a different role and functionality. So not in any particular order. If I go start from the market business, this is the only market that is served by the My Account server. The main difference between the different app markets is to present TPAs that are relevant to the domain where you're in. So currently, when you're in the app market, this is called the dashboard, the business app market. We show TPAs that are hybrid, meaning TPAs that have a back office. This is some type of, this model is going to change very soon with what we call the unification, but maybe we'll talk about it. So this is the only app market that is not served by app market servers. Then we have the market standalone. The main business of market standalone is for SEO reasons and for marketing information. This market has absolutely no traffic whatsoever, but still has full functionality and marketing facing just because for the SEO and all the marketing information in the emails and such. Then we have the newest edition, which is the market expert. This is a trimmed down version of the app market, which is now part of the Wix funnel. It's served by the market servers, but basically we can call it under the billing domain. Once a new user buys a premium and connects his domain, then one of the wizards that takes him through this process is the market premium market, the card, where he automatically receives $20, $20. This will hopefully encourage him to first explore and know that there is an app market and add new TPAs to his website. When you go to the app market, when you go to the legacy editor, app market goes over there. When you open it, you see TPAs that are more. The bulk of them are just, let's say, client-facing. They have like, added functionality to the market, but some of them, such as Wix Shoutout, hotels, or the back office as well, so you can still find them over there. But mainly it's comments, social plugins, and stuff like that. And with the new app market editor, we actually forked the legacy market. Because the changes that we had to implement were so significant, not the functionality, but the layout were such that it was very, very difficult to have one market that serves 2 different layers for 2 different editors. So our solution for that was to fork cargo. So those are all the markets that we have. All of them are using upmarket API, which is a public API. Everybody's using it. My account, editor, basically any availability as well. So this is the upmarket. This is what most people know. And then we have the Dev Center. Dev Center is part of the ecosystem supporting developers. This is where you register TPA, you set marketing information, you upload your thumbnails, your images, your marketing information, and various settings for the type of TPA that you're going to run. If it's a widget, if it's a full page, if it's a back office, all of those settings. So currently the app market is comprised of a homepage, which we'll talk about a bit later. It's kind of weird when I say just the homepage is a different phase in application, but it has some complexity, some issues, product issues that makes it we call it more than a feature, almost a project. Then this is what we're currently working. And because when we launch this part, it won't completely replace the current Dev Center. So some functionalities are still related on the old Dev Center. All Dev Center is integrating to what we call the CMS, which is a very, very bad name, but this is the back office of the app market, which holds various product information and all the marketing information that all the developers put into it, and various search issues, everything that needs to for the backend management of NTBA. And the CMS interface into the Wix world through the App Store, and then to all of the Wix world ecosystem, the editor, or whatever, any other information. So this is the basic architecture of the app market. And it's kind of convoluted. The reason for that is when the first app market was created by an external company to Wix called CodeOasis. This was a pet project by Yoav Avramis, and CodeOasis developers developed the first app market. And developers from CodeOasis, chief among them is Shunit and Steve, who's responsible for the Dev Center and CMS, and our very own one of them here. Dev Center, the old Dev Center is written on Symfony 2. That's a PHP, MVC PHP framework. And the CMS currently runs on Drupal. Again, it's an open source CMS runs on PHP. And basically and they are hosted on CodeOasis machines and routed into the Wix world via the Wix dispatcher. So this is one of the reasons why we want to bring those applications into the Wix world to develop on Wix stack and get all the goodies that everybody here has. This actually presented a very, very, very complicated challenge in terms of development, because if the homepage and the new Dev Center are currently running on Wix stack and on Wix server and Wix machine, still Dev Center and CMS are outside on CodeOasis machine, and some of you occasionally know this pain when they need us to come and install new Dev Center and CMS on machines for a shout out, for my account. Everything that needs some sort of TPA, you know this thing. It takes us a lot of time and effort to. We don't have CI for those. We don't have any straightforward mechanism. So even for us, it hurts us when we try to develop, because there is a lot of network involved with managing all the traffic, which actually hopefully will not hurt this presentation, as it did only 10 minutes. So this is where we have the Dev Center. Let's talk about the new Dev Center. So the new Dev Center is completely developed on Wix stack. The server is developed by our guys, Scala, Bootstrap, and the client side is developed on Wix Angular. We're using, this is the first project in upmarket that is using ES6, using TypeScript as a compiler. The reason that we didn't choose to go full TypeScript, because we said, okay, this is the first project that we're doing ES6. We didn't want all the complexity done in one. There were a lot of unknowns in this project, how to interface with the CMS and the actual technical issues of doing ES6. So this is why we opted not to go with TypeScript. The person who is leading this project is Donatas, that some of you know, is currently not here. We have 4 front-end 3 front-end on this project and 2 back-end guys.
Yeah, what's the role of the app market, of the App Store? Why isn't no one use the App Market API? It's different.
Everybody goes to the App Market API. That's a public API. The App Market API is a project. It has its own server, runs on Scala. Our API in CMS syncs any new updates from App Market Dev Center project. All the project information will be good. App Store is facing inward into Wix. I told you that the App Market was initially developed by CodeOasis, outside company. The App Store is where they proxy into the Wix world. All communication to the App Store is via RPC, authentic communication. And everybody else in Wix that wants any information from the Dev Center or more internal information which is not exposed by public site goes through the App Store. This is developed by Smoothie and K&Core. Some of the product I think we are doing.
So App Store is API of Dev Center stuff, and App Market is more of
App Market is just marketing information. It happens every so happens that people call us from the Wix and ask how do you do this with the TPA, how do you do this with the SDK. Funny enough, in the App Market, we don't know how to develop TPAs because this is not what we do in the App Market. We only provide the ecosystem to publish those applications and deliver marketing information. This is changing soon, but this is why sometimes when people call me, how do I do this, how do I do that, I say, I'm sorry, I don't know. So this is public. It's only marketing information. And basically, for example, when we want to provision, when we want to add stores, so sometimes the different data center, if it's from the My Account, goes to the My Account server, which does this communication for them. This is something that is currently being changed, developed by Ronen and Laurent from the server guild. All of them, provisioning basically is done on the App Store. Marketing, actual steps. And this is the newest edition. Hopefully next week we're going to start developing one phase of a new App Market, a new experience altogether from the market that you currently know. This is something that currently management is pushing. Editor, we have a new editor. It's good that we have a new App Market. It's been not really the visuals were tweaked in the last few years, but not really a new App Market. So this will be. So it's like this, not connected anymore. It's less complicated than it looks. Okay, so how do we interface with the Dev Center? Dev Center, the only public-facing stuff is the homepage. This is the only item that you can do. Once you authenticate yourself via some sort of social application or Wix user, we'll talk about the problem that this is facing for us eventually. You go in and you can view different aspects of the second phase of the Dev Center, which is currently developed. All of this is protected by the Wix session in terms of security, so you can see all your apps that are under your name. You can register and update your developer info for newsletter and any type of other communication that you're having with the product manager of the Dev Center. Probably none of you know, but when you write a TPA, you are privy to some BI events that we collect for you. Not the Wix BI events that you guys are using, but we expose some events on how many people install your application, how many people remove them. When you open the modal to get information about your application, how many clicked on this tab, on the demo tab, on the review tab. This helps you maybe know how to promote yourself within the App Market. There is a dashboard that will oversight the view of everything. And in the newest edition reviews, we develop a new review system that enables developers to see reviews that people write them and actually comment on them. This is something that is it's a big success. I know that Boost and Shoutout, now they have a direct link with people who are using their application. And, it seems like a very good feature that we developed. So All of this information comes from a single server, other than the preview. Preview is a standalone project because it's incorporated in different places in the Connect, so it's completely separated from the dev center. And again, the server mainly on this on this second phase acts as a proxy. The client only goes to a single server and then sets and receives information from the CMS. This is done via basic authentication for security reasons. All the API, even the public API, communicates with the CMS through credential exchange. And the same goes continuously as we talked before. The last thing that I want to talk about is actually this part, which is very, very interesting. So I said before that the homepage is a different project on itself. There was a strong product requirement that marketing and product can edit the face of the homepage without having developers in the loop. They want to have some sort of CMS that enables them to write different content, different header, different carousel, different stuff, different events, and they don't want us in the loop. So when we first started to think about how to do that, obviously it's not something very, very complicated, just done personally. We didn't want to develop CMS on ourselves. We didn't want to have some sort of rich text front-end editor for that. So we looked around and we looked for Contentful. This is a third-party service for us. Basically, it's just the CMS for holding content. And product personnel goes there, edits the text, clicks publish, and then it goes to show on the homepage. Completely separated from Wix data flow. The only thing that is interesting technically is because we are Wix. We don't like to be, we can't have content received on the fly from a third party for a strategic staging place like the homepage. If, for example, tomorrow our Contentful goes down or they close the company, we cannot be dependent, cannot be coupled with them. So the solution that we did was when product goes and edits the text in Contentful, they are given a specialized secret link, which will show them a preview of how their new content is affects the page. And once they click publish, our own server go into Contentful via our Contentful API, swaps the content, and stores it on a MySQL database. And when everybody wants to see the content, they're actually receiving it from our server, and not the Contentful. This way, we are not coupled with them. And every time we do publish, it's a new content into the MySQL. We have revisions. We can always go back.
What exactly? This is the Dev Center homepage, right?
This is the Dev Center homepage.
Show the content that changed.
Yes, we have two people. What is the sheet in field? We're going to make a comparison. So this is the homepage. All of the content. What's his name? It's not in there. Sorry. The product manager for hotels is now Fiverr, and obviously we know those guys. All of the content here, icons, text, everything is through the content, the Contentful server. Product can change. You can add new entries to this carousel. They can add new events. So this is the homepage. All of this content comes from over there. And once you log in, you are going to enter in the text. If I go to Start Now to register a new dev center or to edit my current one, I'm going to the legacy dev center. As you can see, it boasts a very, very outdated layout. Now it's kind of difficult to add new stuff to it, new capabilities with the Hive, with new settings and everything. And the UI is kind of really not very Wixy. So this is where this is the last phase that is still set, which is one of the most important ones, but this is why we want to change. All right, so before I dive into the data center itself, I want to talk about some other interesting technical challenge that we had, and this is the top menu. So as you can see, this looks very similar to the Wix top menu, and the requirement was that currently the Wix menu, as you know, is header and footer is an embed for a power component. We had different requirements. We wanted to control both links and the text, but we also needed to have some sort of inner state management. And other than that, part of the upmarket ecosystem is the documentation center and some of the answer. Documentation center, again, is a new CMS developed by CodeOasis outside of Wix. They don't have access to our embeds or so on, so they have to implement the same layout hard-coded. This is the documentation. So it's a CMS that was developed outside company. So the top menu, they have it hard-coded. Answers needs to have the same one, and the top menu again needed to be the product needed to be able to update it and change it without having developers in the loop. But the most difficult part was that we had to have some sort of internal state of the menu, because once you're logged in, this place here needs to be changed according to complex settings, which are such as this. So I'm going to go all of those. It basically describes different state machines that only top menu needed to uphold. In terms of if you have an application, if you have a public application, if you don't have anything, a lot of complex state machine that we needed to enforce on the top menu. So as you can see, the current implementation of the top menu is something that doesn't support it. We try to talk with to see how we can advance it, but our requirements currently were too complicated. So again, the solution that we had was to fork this top menu implementation again. And so everybody knows that this is not the best solution, but so we just took the styling of it and we implemented it again because of time constraint. Even our own current solution is not API available. We are hacking our own fork. So those are the constraints that sometimes happen when you're developing an application within Wix. Obviously, all of you know. So that was a kind of a challenge as well. And okay, and so let's see some screen of the application. Again, it's not yet finished. This is why I'm running it locally. So you're logging into the application. Currently, this is a very, very serious application user within the apartment, which has all the apps. So it's kind of big. But again, assuming how many applications that you have this really, really nice menu. You add app, you go to the old dev center, or you select one. So styling, not everything is still ready. We're still working on it.
Yeah.
So
Like the published one with still stuff.
yeah. This one? Okay, so once I decide which application I want to see and view what happens with it, I'm presented with this screen. Kind of nice communication is the place where you can talk with your reviews, and you can update and reply to different types of. Obviously, not everything is finished. A/B testing. This is something very, very interesting that we're going to pursue recently, which is a different talk. We'll talk about how to give the developers the capability to run A/B tests on our system, not us using our own Petri, but having them do it. We'll talk about it later. Stats. This is where you can view those BI events that we give you. This is everything here is done. We wrote a lot of those components ourselves. This is something that, for example, the week style will come very, very handy when it's available. For this chart, we're using 3D GS file, Angular 4 directors. And edit app, you go and change your settings. Test your app is where you can click it and open it, this application in an editor in preview mode. You open your site selector and you select what you want to test it. The last thing that I want to talk that's kind of interesting is this. So when you register an app, you have a secret key and an API key. Those are the TPA developers needs to sign those two variables and append them and know of their structure, because every time the editor opens the iframe of a specific TPA, it sends those values signed. This gives capability to the TPA developer to know that this link comes from the Wix ecosystem and not just random stuff from the world. So it's kind of a security feature that they can do. So there was a security request by Tom McLaurin that App ID is public information, but when you want to see your secret key, this needs to have a second type of some sort of a two-step authentication. Now this actually presents us with a very, very good challenge. We don't have a solution, a really good solution for that. The thing is that when you register into the Wix world, you can either do it via Wix, or you can do social. You have Google or Facebook. When I'm asking you for your passport and you are a Google or Facebook user, I don't have access to that information. I think my account has some sort of similar approach to some of the site settings. This is something that is being explored by the framework guys, the design teams, to see how this can be achieved. Now what we think we're going to do, that if you realize that you are not a regular Wix user and you're a social one, then for the first time you're asking this, we will prompt you for a password, we will store it, and this will be the password that we're going to use for the next time we're going to ask it. So it's not really a good solution, but currently this is where we stand. What else do I want to show? So it's still work in progress, and continuing to we're getting to the end of the second phase. And yeah, hopefully everybody will be happy.
This is in production. This is active already.
It's kind of in production, but in secret. But I'm running it locally.
So users are not developers.
No, the developers still go to the. And once this is launched and they still want to update or create new ones, they will still go to the old one. And this is just, let's say that most stuff here is read information, get your information about various stuff. I actually forgot to show you the new developer account. So this kind of I think looks like the site settings. So you're adding your information, your interest. We're asking currently the onboarding Wix is very, very weak. We don't really know much information about Wix users and even less about our developers, and we want to engage them. We want to have our own direct newsletter for Wix developer, which is different from the regular Wix site builder. So we want to know some of the stuff that interests them, so we can target our communication better. Again, some additional information about who you are, and we want with a subscription, which there's nothing there yet. We want this is kind of a new thing. We want to have multiple developers signed into a single account. Currently, there is just one developer logged in, and if you have many people working on that application, you need to give your passport to other people to sky themselves and yourself. We want to give this ability for multiple developers, and maybe in the future some sort of rolling capability as well. So this is where we stand now. It was a brief presentation. Questions?
What tools do you have for the? I mean, someone has to approve the application, right? Do you give tools for the bank
Okay,
office?
so this is completely different, obviously. So the process of writing a TPA for outside of Wix TPA is very, very different from what the experience that the e-commerce guys or shoutout guys have, or hotels, or if you're actually a layer, you know better. You have to wake up in the night and shout at the local. Yeah. No, because he has a very successful TPA in the upmarket, table builder. So when you create a TPA, you pass through the wizard of defining the TPA, say what it is about, marketing information, you have demo set, whatever you want, and then you start to work. Basic TPAs have at least two endpoints that you need to provide. One is for the setting panel, where you configure the behavior of your application, and one for the actual application. Once you develop your site, doesn't matter with which technologies, you are satisfied with your work, you are starting to go through what is called an acceptance test. We have a battery of students in the upmarket who are doing QA for this application. Actually, the technical application QA is done via QA personnel in Ukraine, but people here at the Connect are doing product QA for that. They see that it looks good, adheres to Wix standard of layout and finishes and stuff. They talk about how the different TPA, the process is going, if the flow is correct and servable. Once this is done as well, and this is actually a very, very difficult and long process. This is something that we know we are not really good at it. I mean, every upmarket is that and those stuff, maybe not Google, but the iTunes, the App Store as well. It's very, very difficult because we want to ensure that we don't have many applications in the App Store. We want to have really good quality ones. And the process, is it can start from anywhere from 2 months to even 6 months. It's a challenge. We know it's a problem. If you're not really backed by a company that wants to have some sort of funnel into Wix, but you're doing something that on your own, it can be very, very challenging and frustrating probably. We're trying to make this process more friendly, this is being discussed. But not all hope is lost. People who actually have their application published in the upmarket and installed are immediately viewed by seriously millions of people. Some applications, can you give some numbers maybe? Installs, valid installs. Like 100,000s of users that can use your TPA. Some public, really, really popular TPAs, I know they can get even to hundreds or maybe low numbers of thousands a day of people adding their site. We consider those, we call them installs. We call them valid only if they're staying on the site after, I think, a period of 10 or 7 days. If they're still there, we view them as valid installed. This goes, some of them 40,000 a day. Some of them are freemium, some of them are premium. One of the most successful is the comments, I think, which is developed by a guy called Uri Shaked, who's very known in the Israeli Angular world. It's like a second salary, I guess. I don't know exactly the numbers, but there's like significant, like regular work type of salary. So, but I'm very, very sorry to see as a mixed employee, we can't have a premium TPA with that. So, it sucks to be you. Still, you can still have one, and if it's successful, go and get your own startup, because that's what happened in some of the TPAs that are published in the upmarket. It's a true story. Our product and marketing people continuously meet and talk with people writing TPAs to improve our acceptance process and all of the experience. And some of them are really good. That's it.
Thank you.
Something else? And as is customary for all the meetups and stuff, we are hiring. Thanks.
נעשה 5 דקות ואז נמשיך עם סוגי.
אוקיי, יאללה, עוד מאמץ קטן ו... לא צריך לסיים.